Hello, I'm Tim from Micronair, and I'm here at Yorkton Aircraft Service to give you some tips on the maintenance of AU5000 Atomizers. Look for any sign of leakage from the pipework. This might be around the cap of the VRU, of the restrictor, or it might be around the check valve or the pipe fitting at the end of the atomizer spindle. Check the condition of the fan blades, especially along the trailing edge. If there are any nicks or cracks, then the blade must be replaced. Check the condition of the gauze. If there's any sign of bulging of the gauze, or if there's any damage along the soldered seams with the wires pulling away, then the gauze will have to be replaced. If the gauze is just contaminated, then it can be cleaned. The atomizer is mounted into a rubber shock bush in the mounting clamp. To check the condition of the bush, move the atomizer up and down like this. There should be some movement, but it should not feel very loose. If it is loose, that indicates that the shock bush is worn or damaged and should be replaced. If the atomizer needs maintenance, it must be removed from the aircraft. So disconnect the pipe fittings and remove the mounting clamp. And now the next step is to service the atomizer on the bench. To remove the blades, we undo the 3 clamp ring securing bolts. To take the gauze off the hub, we undo the 3 832 screws. And then slide the gauze assembly off the drive tube of the hub. The end cap and deflector is secured to the end of the gauze with another 3 832 screws, which are the same size as the gauze securing screws. If the atomizer is fitted with an air deflector, that is secured to the end of the gauze by 3 832 countersunk screws. The spacer bush slides off the front of the spindle, and then the spindle comes out through the rear of the atomizer hub. There's a secondary shut-off valve on the end of the spindle, and this consists of this black Viton rubber seal and a spring-loaded cap. There's a V-ring seal inside the hub at the end of the drive tube. The V-ring can be eased off its seat with a small screwdriver through the holes in the drive tube. The 2 bearings are held in the hub by this plate with the 3 screws, but they should only be taken out if it's necessary to change them. To remove the bearings, first undo the 3 screws. Next, remove the seal washer. The bearings are pressed out from the rear of the atomizer. This is best done with the Micronair bearing removal tool. There are two bearings, and between them is a pair of spacers. There's an inner spacer and an outer spacer, and then behind the second bearing there is this phosphor bronze shield. In the standard configuration, both ball races are sealed on each face, and there's a false grease nipple in the hub. The procedure to assemble the atomizer is basically the reverse of dismantling. The bearings must always be replaced as a pair. Never reuse an old bearing with a new one. First, fit the phosphor bronze sealing washer. Then insert the first bearing, preferably using the bench press in conjunction with the Micronair bearing insertion tool. Next, fit the two bearing spacers and the second bearing. And finally, we fit the outer sealing washer and the bearing retaining plate. Before refitting the secondary shut-off seal, check the condition of the face. If it's damaged, then the seal must be replaced. The spring must be fitted to the spindle before the seal and held in place with the circlip. And finally, fit the cap and hook the three legs under the end of the spring. The easiest way to fit the V-ring is to use this Micronair insertion tool. In this case, make sure that the lip of the V-ring faces onto the tool. So put the tool inside the atomizer and then press down on the outer sleeve to fit the V-ring onto its housing. If you don't have the insertion tool, then the V-ring can be eased onto its seat with a small screwdriver. The inner face of the deflector on the spindle should be lubricated with a little grease before putting it into the hub. If the gauze is being used with a deflector, this should be attached before fitting it to the hub. fit the end cap. Before replacing the blades and the clamp ring, make absolutely sure that the two numbers on the hub and on the clamp ring match. This is very important because the atomizer is balanced by means of these holes on the clamp ring, and if the wrong ring is fitted, the atomizer will run out of balance. When fitting the blades, make sure that the pin on the hub fits into the slot in the root of the blade. The three clamp ring bolts must be tightened equally, but not over tightened, just enough to grip the blades. If the gap between the clamp ring and the hub is completely closed, that indicates that the bolts have been over tightened. Finally, fit the spacer bush onto the spindle before putting onto the mounting clamp.